Buenos dias and good morning. This is the Parenting Versus Podcast. I said podcast for Lindsay. So it's a sunny, always sunny. It's always sunny in Albuquerque. Summer morning. It's about 8:17 on a Friday morning. And our kids are having breakfast. There's a hummingbird checking out our food, not our food, but our trees. And we're enjoying some coffee. So I thought it would be a good idea just to press record because we haven't in a couple days, and kids are enjoying their breakfast. They're very content. They're very much in a good mood this morning. And Lindsay and I are trying to become on sync. I don't know if it's happening though. So I was thinking about a couple things that have been on my mind. First of all, I feel like in my 30s I'm going through like just a lot of really crazy transitions, and a lot of changes are happening. I think it's like the second puberty, except I'm not, I don't know, I am growing more hair on my face, which is also something I've been thinking about too, like whether or not to shave this nasty beard on my face. So a lot of, I guess, internal crises, they've been going on, and I'm trying to figure out how to deal with them. So, like, so many crises. And poor Lindsay, I'm dragging her along through all this. But I kind of wonder if other people in their 30s kind of go through these crises. Or if I'm the only one, if I'm a freak, a crisis freak. Yes, buddy. Okay, this is cool because yesterday I gave Luke, our 5-year-old, a lesson about interrupting. And it was really, so me and Lindsay were coming back from Santa Fe. Yesterday we went to Santa Fe with Lindsay's good friend Aaron Cerna. Went to Santa Fe, went to the mountains, but on our way back, me and Lindsay were talking, I think that was yesterday. And then as we were talking, Luke decided he wanted to talk, like he interrupted. So I told him, Luke, so this is, you finished, good job. Riley just wanted to tell us he finished. Eat more toast. Go eat more toast. So I told him it's proper etiquette. I mean, I didn't say proper etiquette. I told him it's kind to, when two people are talking, and if you need to talk, you can raise your hand. And that's what he just did. So, Luke, come over here. You're raising your hand. What do you need to say?
I need to say that last night, I heard something boom outside and someone scream.
Oh, man. That's not a good thing. What do you think happened?
I think there was fireworks and there was a baby just like crying.
You think there was firecrackers and somebody crying?
No, fireworks.
Oh, okay.
And baby was crying.
And the baby was crying? Okay. Is that why it was hard for you to fall asleep?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes those things happen in our neighborhood. Our neighbors are very patriotic, so July 4th, in Albuquerque, the fireworks they're regulated very heavily. So you're only allowed to have like those little mini fountains. But somehow, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to say somehow. I know how they get them. They get these artillery shells, like big blasting fireworks, and they go to Moriarty, which is about 30 minutes to the east of us. And they get these giant artillery shell fireworks, and they'll blast them off. So as of 4th of July, people are blasting off fireworks. And our patriotic neighbors, I'm saying patriotic in quotations, these folks decide that they want to pay tribute to their country, right about bedtime. So about 8, 7 o'clock. And of course, our dogs start going berserk. They start barking. Huh, Luke? Our dogs. Penny doesn't like fireworks, does she?
Yeah, she didn't.
No, she doesn't at all.
And she doesn't like hot air balloons either.
She doesn't like hot air balloons either, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Diego is afraid of. I think probably he really gets excited about water.
Diego gets excited about water? Yeah, he does. So when we fill up our pool, Diego thinks it's, summertime fun time and wants to just run around and bite the water. No, Penny. Okay, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, our little girl just gave Penny some toast, and Penny doesn't like toast. She'll probably lick the butter off, and then Diego will eat the rest. But, yeah. Diego, or what were we talking about, Luke? How Penny's, oh yeah, Penny is, and Penny and Diego are afraid of fireworks. And our neighbors, they are so in love with America that they will shoot off fireworks at about 7 or 8 o'clock at night when Luke is trying to go to sleep. And then they'll continue on until the wee early hours of the morning, huh, Luke? And they like to keep people up because they just love America so much they want to fire off fireworks. That's my theory. I think they love America. What do you think?
And if there's a hot air balloon close by, the dogs would try to just like bark at them and try to get the hot air balloon to come down.
That's true. Do you think they just want to be friends with the hot air balloon? He says no.
Guess what?
What?
We have grapes growing, but they're not quite growing.
They're not growing quite yet, are they?
Yeah.
Hey, so I heard you had an aquarium. Do you want to go play with your aquarium for a little bit?
No.
No?
The pool is not filled up with air.
Oh, but you could still see through it, can't you? And there's still a lot of water in there, isn't there?
No, but yucky. I got some animals out and put some water in the mud and put them in the water.
You did?
Mud.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, so Luke's going off to play with his aquarium. And our 2-year-old is climbing on a rock, so...
Yeah, not gonna lie, not in the best mood this morning, but trying to drink some coffee and wake up and process some things. So yeah, I don't know. But we went to Santa Fe yesterday. That was nice, and I don't really know what to say today. Honestly, I'm just trying to listen more instead of talking. So I don't really know what else to say.
Listen to who?
At all. To you and my kids and everything else. I guess I'm just trying to process like life in general right now. I have a lot of thoughts and I have a lot of things that I'm trying to contemplate, and I just feel like my brain doesn't have room for any of them. It's hard to finish a thought, let alone many thoughts in my head. Yeah. And that's where Lorenzo and I are different, I think. Like, he likes to hang out with our kids and do things, and I do too. But when I really need to process something or I really need to think about something, I need to be somewhere else, like quiet, so that I actually have time to reflect. We actually got into a little bit of an argument about that the other day, because Lorenzo is like, we should be doing things with our kids that are fun. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. But there are times when I'm so overloaded by just like mental stress or work and kids and life that I need to sort of like just go away for like an hour by myself and sort of just like let those thoughts manifest and let them kind of be processed quietly. I'm very much a person that needs to recharge. I get my energy from being around people, but I also get really fatigued, like mentally, from being around people for too long. It's weird. So, I am like, not hypersensitive, but I would say that I'm a highly sensitive person. In that, like, when there's a lot going on, it literally, like, I think physically affects me. And so I need time to be quiet and to just, like, recharge my batteries. And I feel like this week has been sort of just nonstop. Like, we have friends in from out of town. I've been going. I haven't had any time to really just, like, sit and think about life. Because we're always off going somewhere or doing something, or there's kids doing stuff, or it's really hard for me. So I'm really I feel mentally fatigued today.
Can I say that I don't disagree with you? I completely feel like in order to think and reflect, that is a time that you need to be like with each other or by yourself without distractions of kids, because you're right, it is really hard to just like complete a thought and like to really think about serious things. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like life has been, I don't want to get too personal, I guess.
You can, who cares?
I guess you're right. But this summer, life has really jerked us around. Like I feel like, we've just really been thrown around by life, and when you're thinking on these really serious
Thrown
things.
around, I would say we've been kicked in the face.
Yeah.
Sorry to be so positive about that.
No, that's okay. You're allowed to be negative. I mean, it's not to me, but but yeah, like when these serious things are coming up, it's hard to really think on these things when you have kids that just need you for survival. Like, that's really hard. And
Like right now?
Our daughter is super excited about Greek yogurt, by the way.
She's one, and she's like, yeah, Greek yogurt is like the deal right
She's
now.
going to be like the first female, I don't know if that's the first female, but like, she's gonna for sure be in a hardcore band, I know.
She's got some really interesting screamo
She has some
noises
pipes, yeah.
coming out.
But yeah, like, I completely agree with you. Like, you need that time, and we haven't really had that time, and so things...
Date nights help with that, and we've been working on that a little bit.
Date nights do help. And we have our grandparents, not our grandparents, but the kids' grandparents here to watch them. And
actually, my friend Erin's mom has been offering to watch them, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's been a really great thing.
She doesn't have grandkids yet, so she borrows our kids.
I'm starting to get to the point where I don't feel guilty when people offer to watch my kids. Have you ever felt guilty?
I think when our 5-year-old was a baby, just because it was new, and I felt like, let me back up. There's a lot of stigmas attached to being a parent, and I think when you're not sure what the quote-unquote correct way to parent is, even though there's not one, and no one tells you that, you feel guilty, because you feel like, especially as a mom, and a first-time mom, that you should be doing everything yourself, and somehow if you're not, like, having a Pinterest birthday party and always, like, like baby wearing your baby and grinding your own baby food and
Baby wearing your baby?
Like in a wrap.
Oh.
And you're not grinding your own, like, organic baby food and doing all this, like, crazy stuff for your baby, somehow you're failing as a parent. And then when someone offers to watch your kid, you're like, oh my gosh, like, I'm a terrible person if I leave my kid with someone else. There's sort of a crisis that you go through, and I'm just speaking from a mother's perspective, but there's sort of a crisis that you go through after your first baby's born. It's a little bit like an identity crisis, like as a woman, because you go from being an individual and a person that has their own interests and their own things and their own likes and dislikes to wow, our 1-year-old is nuts.
She is nuts, yeah.
Oh, she got yogurt all over my phone.
That's fine. Awesome. Your phone's waterproof.
But yeah, there's this like identity crisis that you go through. And I think you go through something sort of similar when you get married, like going from being somebody to being somebody's wife and figuring out what that means. But when you have your first baby, you kind of look at the culture around you and you think, okay, so, a good mom does A, B, and C, and D, or at least you think that's what it's about. You have all these preconceived ideas about what a good mom does based on what the culture tells you. Mm-hmm. And so it's hard because you put a lot of pressure on yourself, but you lose a lot of yourself in the process.
Yeah. And we were talking about this in our community group, how in marriages, you really, truly have to work at marriage.
Yeah.
with your kids, like you can get frustrated at your kids, but you are always, no matter what, you are always going to love your kids, because they are your flesh and blood. Like they are your son, they are your daughter. Like there's nothing, almost nothing that would make you like, quote unquote, like divorce your kids, right?
Well,
but
you
with
also
your
know that they don't know any better, and that it's your job.
But
to
even
teach
when they're
them.
old, even when they're adults, you love your kids, right?
Yeah.
Like with marriage, this is just a relationship that, let's be honest, like chance happened upon. Like every marriage, like you happened to be in the right place in the right time. You hit it off with this person. It worked out for a while, and now you're married. Mm-hmm. So you have to work at that relationship, because you have the option of leaving that person. I mean, especially before kids. So we were talking about this in our community group.
Well,
that
our
just
culture
how
makes it really easy to just on to the next one if it doesn't work out.
you seriously just have to work at your marriage. Yeah. You have to make a conscious effort to say, like, I'm going to try to be a better person for this person. Like, otherwise.
And to go with that too, I mean, I think there's situations where yes, like you definitely should consider divorce. Like if there's serious abuse, or there's something going on and you have tried on your end and the other person is just not, I don't think that anybody should stay in a situation where they're being abused or hurt and they've tried and there's no reconciliation.
True.
So there are situations where yes, I think divorce is appropriate, but in a normal functioning marriage relationship, like, it's work, and it's almost like you forget that it's a job sometimes.
I don't want to look at it as a job.
Well, it is.
It's just hard.
Well, I think it's a job, because you are signing on to this agreement. There's terms and conditions that you agree to when you get married, and I'm not talking legalistically. I'm just saying, like, for sickness and in health, you sign on to these terms and you agree to love this person through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And sometimes it's really good, and sometimes it's really bad, and sometimes it's really ugly.
Penny.
And so it's you guys trying to figure out how you're going to work through those things together and grow together. And it's not always easy. And with kids, that's like adding another deterrent from that job.
Right. And that's another thing we were talking about too, like just about how not only is it really hard to, cultivate your marriage without kids, but when kids come along, it's like, whoa, like your brain is just like on overload, and it's super hard. And then this summer, this all compounded into us trying to make our quality of life better. Like, shame on us for doing that, I guess. But
we cynicism here.
That's right, Jujubee.
Our daughter's covered in yogurt.
I've lived in
She's a yogurt monster.
Yeah. I've lived in Albuquerque, well, not Albuquerque, but just New Mexico. I've lived in Santa Fe, Moriarty, and Albuquerque, 3 cities in New Mexico for basically all my life, minus 9 months that we lived in Missouri. And this summer we decided that, our city is taking a turn. All right, buddy, I'll get him.
Our 2-year-old just tripped, and he got a little bit of water up his nose. Poor guy. This is life with kids. Yeah, this is it. This is why we're doing this podcast, because we need an outlet. I saw, buddy. I know.
And he fell inside.
I saw. Daddy's got it covered, bro. Thank you. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, I am grateful. We waited like 3 years after getting married to have kids, and I think that was important. And I'm not saying there's a right or a wrong way to do that, but excuse me, but for us, we really needed to figure out how to establish being married and really enjoying and learning what it's like to be married for that first 3 years before throwing kids into the mix. I always feel really sorry for people that, like, and this is just my own personal opinion, you can take it or leave it. I always feel sorry for people who, end up getting pregnant before they're married, and then they get married because they feel like, okay, well, we're going to have a baby. We should probably do this. And while that's a good intention, I think that without understanding marriage and what it means and what it entails, and then throwing a baby into that too, and so you're having like an impending pregnancy on top of a new marriage, that's tough. That's like double duty.
What were you talking about?
Oh, I was mentioning about how we waited 3 years before we had kids, and how I think it's important to have that time.
Your mom's here.
Oh, my mom's here.
Okay.
Do you want to get the door? You want me to get the door? My mom's here. We're recording a podcast. We'll be right there. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, Tim Allen, Tool Time. What's that show? Why can't I think of it? Home Improvement. She's peeking over the fence, and she's like, hello, is anybody there? We're watching my nephew today, so she's dropping him off. But yeah, so I don't know. It's just crazy because marriage is definitely work. Kids are definitely work. And when you add those things together, it is like a lot of work. And you sort of lose yourself in the process sometimes. And you have to remember to take time. I don't want to sound selfish. I don't want to say like, take time for yourself. Hey, buddy. But, Patty, get down. Didn't mean to yell at my dog in this speaker, but you need to remember that it's work. Yeah, let me pause it for a second. We'll be right back.
Hi, guys. Oh my gosh, look at you.
I'm not sure what I'm doing. Hold on.
There we go, paused. Okay, we're back, and my iPhone is covered in oatmeal because of my daughter. My mother-in-law just dropped off our nephew because I'm watching him today, so I think this has been a really good conversation. I wish we could do it longer, but Lindsay has to go in a minute. But just kind of some closing thoughts is, this is just, a time of reflection, a time of
Pondering.
pondering,
some things out.
a time of crisis and figuring out how to work through a crisis. And man, even just thinking about this summer just makes me want to like break down. I don't know.
Yeah, if you are a praying person, and if you're not, that's your prerogative. But if you are, would you pray for us? I know it sounds really cheesy, probably, but
Yeah.
I don't think it hurts to ask. I think
Yeah.
that it's definitely something that is needed, and
Right.
I feel emotionally fragile this summer,
Yeah, me
and a
too.
little bit wrecked at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much time we have, but basically, I'll just say it like our situation here in Albuquerque was that we made a decision, me and Lindsay did, that we wanted to move to Portland. We felt, I think more for our kids that Portland would be a really great place for our kids to grow up. And nothing against Albuquerque. I've been in Albuquerque all my life. I love Albuquerque. I love New Mexico. It's my home. It always will be. But we made this decision that Portland and Oregon would be a really great place to raise our kids. Just, it's a culture that we felt was best. And circumstances just didn't work out. And now we're living with that, like after being mentally and physically, I'm not physically, but like mentally, on our way, packing our bags mentally. And it just didn't happen. I don't know. I'm not like feeling bad for myself, but I'm kind of just, I don't know, maybe pissed off a little bit, maybe trying to deal with, my reality right now. So there's that. And then on top of that I am not patient at all. Like I'm finding out that I am not patient when it comes to things. I get an idea and I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it now. So maybe that's my lesson. Maybe that's, what I need to learn about life is patience. I have patience. Okay, so like I think there are two different types of patience. I'm just going to say this real quick, and I know Lindsay has to get ready. There's patience in like you're waiting at the line at the DMV, and yeah, even though that sucks, and you're like, man, I could be doing so many more things. I have patience when it comes to that, but when it comes to like long-term patience, like you're like, oh, I want to move to Portland. My mind automatically goes like, okay, let's do it now. Let's go right now. I don't want to wait a year. I don't want to wait 2 years. I don't want to have a 5-year plan. I want to have a 10-minute plan, and I want to do it now. And when that doesn't work out, I get super discouraged. So
I think that's the pseudo millennial talking.
Yeah, I think, we are. And don't even get me started about, like, my generation. Lindsay and I were talking yesterday about how we were kind of set up as a disadvantage.
The big lie, if you go to college and get a degree, you'll have a good job.
Right. So I had probably 3 majors in college. I started off wanting to do music. And then I realized, hey, I don't want to be a teacher. And lo and behold, I'm a teacher now. Because teachers don't make money. And then next I went to architecture because I love buildings and I love art. And maybe if I stuck with that, that would have been, all right. And then third, I went to the counseling office at my university, and I was like, man, architecture's not working out. I looked at the list with the highest paying jobs. It was like 2 types of engineers, then economics was the third. And I was like, well, I'll do economics because I had a lot of credits towards that. I have an economics degree. I graduated in 2009, the middle of the worst recession since the Great Depression, and I'm a teacher now. So,
well, I think also though, like, we were told in school, I graduated 2002. You graduated 2001. We were told, like, you after school, you go to college, like. Pick a major, figure it out. By the time you're like going into college, you should know what your major is, what you want to do, commit to doing it, and then you're going to have a good, high-paying job because you're going to have a degree. And I have not graduated from college. I went to school for a couple years. I partied a lot. I made some life decisions to travel and do some things other than college, and so I feel like that was sort of my learning ground because I'm not a classroom learner at all. I'm a hands-on life learner. So I got the experience, but I don't have the degree. And Lorenzo's the opposite. He got the degree, but didn't necessarily get the experience. And so it's interesting because, like, we're sort of in this catch-22. Like, I can apply for jobs that I am experienced in, but because I don't have a piece of paper, that disqualifies me, even though I've had, 10 years of experience in this one area. Lorenzo, on the other hand, has the piece of paper, but doesn't have the 10 years of experience.
And a bunch of gigs, basically, that don't amount to much.
So it's like he's disqualified. So we're like, what is the sweet spot here? Like, what is the world asking of us at this point? It's frustrating because it sort of feels like lose-lose no matter how you slice it.
Right.
And so we're trying to kind of get our bearings and figure that out. And I think our generation was ill-prepared. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a shift happening. Like we talked about, it would make more sense if we did something like a gap year, like they do in the UK, where you have a year off before college to really find yourself and figure out what you actually want to do and who you actually might be as an adult.
I heard that idea on the Break It Down podcast, which, by the way, my 2-year-old loves that podcast intro music. But Matt Carter, which I completely feel like I mesh with his way of thinking, was talking with I think he was the drummer from what is it, The Ghost? Anatomy of a Ghost, which, by the way, Lindsay might have hung out in Portland back in the day. And they were talking about, like having a year or so for kids to, figure out life. And I happened to try to figure out life paying thousands of pounds, thousands of dollars towards a educational institution, and I didn't really get much. I didn't really get far. I basically was, I'm sorry, close your Christian ears, but I was drunk all the time, probably bordering alcoholism, and I was getting Fs in my class because I basically had never been released into the wild, and like in my little evangelical little brain, like was free, and I could, had this liquid courage, and I can actually talk to girls, and like it was crazy, and like I didn't get much from it. I could have used that time, and some others to self-reflect and figure myself out without paying thousands upon thousands of dollars to a educational institution. And now here I am. Like now I my not only my life but my kids' lives depend on what I do. So it's just a crazy time. But
yeah, it's funny because I remember thinking like I'm kind of always like I'm rebellious in that I'm like very anti-traditional for a lot of things, like thought-wise. And I remember thinking like, I don't know that I want to go to college after high school, but it was like culturally, like if you don't go to college after high school, you're a loser. So I remember thinking, okay, I guess I'll go to Portland State because I'm from Portland and I like Portland. And that was literally the basis for how I made that decision. Like, I like Portland. I want to get away from my parents. Portland State is in the middle of a city. Yeah, I'll do that. It was also kind of dumb. I should have taken the time to really figure it out, because I didn't go for the right reasons. I didn't know what I wanted to do, you know? And I ended up not flunking out. I mean, I got decent grades except for math, but we all know that. But I wasted a lot of time trying to find myself in an academic setting when, like Lorenzo said, you know, I should have really found myself on my own and then gone and done something academic with it when I knew who I was. Lesson learned.
Yeah. Well, do you feel a little bit better right now?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Well, it's a good conversation. I mean, kudos to us for doing this with not only 3 but 4 kids around now. But we're going to go and wrap up. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And
I'll catch you on the flip.
Yeah, catch you on the flip.
Say bye-bye, Riley.
Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Grandma.